So, you want to hear a story? I got one for you. New Orleans. The summer of 1919, the city was alive with music. And the city of Storyville, which had been a legal red light district from 1897 to 1917, just in case you were interested, was in full swing. Riverboats roared up and down the Mississippi, and the French Quarter overflowed with the sounds of jazz. And then, a man appeared. A man dressed all in black, wearing a black fedora with the brim pulled down low, in his hand, a black violin. No one knew his name. No one knew where he came from. But everyone remembered the way he played that violin. Music so perfect, it didn't seem human. And eyes that glowed faintly red in the shadows. And then, the fires began. This is the story of the Devil's Violinist of New Orleans. Welcome to Now It's Dark. It began on a humid August night in 1919, just outside Lafitte's blacksmith shop bar on Bourbon Street, which was already over 100 years old at the time. Locals said the man was tall, rail thin, dressed in a perfectly pressed black suit with a black fedora that cast his face in shadow. He opened his violin case and tuned his instrument with impossible precision. And then he began to play. The melody was hypnotic. People walking by stopped dead in their tracks, their mouths open in awe of what they were hearing, their drinks forgotten in their hands. Some people described feeling like they were floating. Others said the music made their chests feel tight, as if their hearts were being squeezed. And yet others reported a warm sensation throughout their bodies that comforted them as warm memories flooded over them. By September, his legend had grown and spread well beyond the French Quarter and into Storyville, where musicians like Jelly Roll Morton and King Oliver were reinventing music every night. Louis Boudreau, a trumpet player, was approached by the mysterious violinist after a late-night gig at the Iberville Cabaret. The stranger didn't speak. He just stared at Louis. But in that moment, Louis somehow understood. If he followed this stranger into the narrow alley beside Preservation Hall, his music would change forever. Witnesses saw the two men disappear into the shadows, and Louis was never seen again. And then the fires began. It was October 12th, 1919. Jackson Square was packed with people celebrating the end of Prohibition raids. The man with the violin stood dead center, surrounded by hundreds of people. As the clock neared midnight, the music grew louder, faster, notes so sharp they felt like they cut through the air. Witnesses swore they smelled sulfur and heard faint whispers in the music, words they just couldn't quite understand. At midnight, chaos erupted. Fires exploded across the quarter. The Royal Orleans Hotel, Gallier's Restaurant, and two boarding houses on St. Philip Street all ignited within minutes. Through the chaos, several survivors claimed they saw the violinist walking calmly through the smoke, the flames bending away from him, his eyes glowing like red embers. By sunrise, the fires had burned themselves out. 47 buildings were destroyed. Dozens of people were dead. And the man with the violin was nowhere to be found. He had disappeared the same way he had arrived. without a sign or a sound. Over a century later, locals still tell the story of the Devil's Violinist. Many people swear they saw a tall man in a black suit standing in the French Quarter just before closing time, tuning a black violin. And on certain hot August nights when the Quarter is empty and the air feels heavy, you can hear it. A faint, impossibly fast melody echoing off the brick walls. Now, they say if you follow the sound of that distant melody, you'll find him waiting in the shadows. But whatever you do, don't look him in the eyes. So is it fact or is it fiction? Well, some historians argue that the Devil's Violinist was nothing more than a myth, a ghost story created by locals to explain the terrible fires of 1919. They point out that records from the time show faulty wiring in the French Quarter was the cause of the fires, and state witness accounts were blurred by panic and smoke, nothing more. But then, there are a few other details. The Iberville Cabaret Ledger, found in the city archives, included a handwritten note next to Louis Boudreau's name. It said, "Gone, taken by the man in black." There's also an eerie report filed by a New Orleans police sergeant on October 12th, 1919. The report details the police sergeant's observations from that evening. In it, he claims to have seen a man in a dark suit walking calmly through the flames, unharmed, leaving behind only the sound of a violin. Now, even today, modern musicians claim they've heard or felt something strange in the Quarter. It is New Orleans, after all. One well-known jazz guitarist who was interviewed in 2015 swore that while walking near Jackson Square at around 2 a.m., he heard a song so intricate and so fast that it would have been impossible for human hands to play. So, was it just the city playing tricks on him? Or is the man with the black violin still there? Are the historians right? Is the Devil's Violinist nothing more than a myth? Or is this like the story of Robert Johnson at the Crossroads, a man who made a deal with the devil and became better at his craft than any man before or after him? Or did the devil pick up his violin and head to New Orleans before making his way to Georgia? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've got one to spare, drop me a like. It really helps. And if you enjoy these kinds of stories, please subscribe. It don't cost nothing. And thanks for watching Now It's Dark.